Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. You guys know why you are here. Today we are talking because I am reacting to a live that Carlos King did with Dr. Heavenly, and in which Carlos King wanted to take this time to basically attack some people and say a lot of hypocritical things. We're going to talk about it as it pertains to Melody, Cherie, the fan base, all of the things, because I feel like we're being gaslit, and I feel like some things are being twisted on purpose to paint a false narrative, and we have to tell the truth, people. That's why I'm here, because I like the truth. I don't like lies or pretending to be fake or pretending to be one thing and then you're being two-faced the other. No. I don't subscribe to that type of mentality. That's why I'm here. That is why I'm here, so that we can tell the truth and all of these things, right? So one of the things that Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly was the one who set all this up, so it was clear that they had a conversation prior that they were going to talk about this. And again, this proves the point that Carlos King picks and chooses what he wants to pay attention to, what he wants to address, and what he wants to ignore, which is the source of all this chaos. A big reason why, you know, we are here it is because none of this is playing out on the actual quote-unquote reality show Love and Marriage Huntsville. So if you're not going to show the truth on the show, that's when people start digging. So a couple of things. First thing, you know, Dr. Heavenly's like, oh, you're not striking channels, and Carlos King denies striking the channels, but then he says later on that there had to be consequences because, and notice he didn't say that this was a Live with Reality King tour anymore. He says that he had a live podcast show with Melody, Cherie Rogers, and then says Dr. Melody, Cherie Rogers, and I don't know, I kind of felt that was like a little bit of gaslighting, a little bit haterish, but nonetheless, we'll talk about it. And felt that some people were just there to just record for 2 hours and weren't there to quote-unquote listen and enjoy the podcast, and some of those people uploaded it on their channels or their social media pages or whatever. But here's the thing, okay, if you just said a few moments ago that you didn't strike channels, obviously a strike did happen because you were not okay with people sharing your intellectual property. And it shows on the actual strike who requested, you know, said video or said content to be taken down. So for some people, it was directly the O Network or the Discovery Channel, which now basically owns the O Network. And some directly said your name, which means you specifically, you know, knew which content creators to go to that posted that content. Now, if you would have just said that and said, hey, don't post my intellectual property, and if they signed releases or waivers that, hey, content of this podcast, this 2-hour podcast, is being filmed for Love and Marriage Huntsville, please do not upload any of this, this shouldn't have been a thing, right? This shouldn't have been an issue, but the problem is you let this fester. You didn't state clear boundaries of what to do and what not to do for the people that attended, so therefore, that is why so many people got away with recording it and uploading it and talking about it and all those things. But if you set the tone from the start on what it was, you know, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have these issues, right? And so then he keeps reiterating that people want to think the worst about him. No. Here's the problem, Carlos. And I want to say this. We all have an opinion. I do this for entertainment purposes only. I pre-record my videos and upload them, and then I check out. Then I move on. Then I do me, right? I don't take any of this stuff personally. There's some people, whether it's celebrities, reality stars, athletes, entertainers, authors, musicians, whatever the like, you prefer some more than others. But the problem is, some people are just way too sensitive now. You want people to have an opinion, but then if you don't like the opinion, now all of a sudden you're a hater and you're going too far. But yet, if you do it, it's okay. But if it's against certain people that you're trying to protect, then it's an issue. And my issue, Carlos, is that you do not treat everybody fairly.
That is the issue. You allow certain things to go too far when it's against Melody Cherie Rogers, and then when there's too much smoke and too much heat coming at you, such as this situation, now all of a sudden you want to respond, but you haven't responded for the past few seasons when Melody Cherie Rogers was bullied against her own cast, and her own cast was trying to throw her off the show, led by, you know, Martell and whoever else that was trying to get her off, because they were mad that Melody Cherie Rogers dared to not stay and put up with Martell's cheating. And you, for a few reunions now, have been still trying to, you know, dangle this fantasy of Melody and Martell getting back together, knowing that it's complete and utterly chaos, to the point Melody Cherie has to have security and therapists and psychiatrists and whoever else on standby, on set, while filming, because she doesn't know what her ex-husband's going to do. That's a volatile work environment. That's an unsafe work environment. And Melody Cherie Rogers told you to your face multiple times, whether it is in an interview, whether it is in a live with you for your podcast, whether it is physically in person, sitting feet away from you, barely social distance from you, that she does not feel protected by you, that she felt that you knew everything that was going on, and her being attacked and her being maligned, and even people who are no longer on the show using their platforms to go on live and go other YouTubers' channels and completely slander and defame her, all of that was fine. But now all of a sudden, when other people are being held accountable that you want to protect, that you really prefer over others, that you are trying to position as the next Mel and Martell of the show, because Martell didn't see the bigger picture, now it's a problem. Now all of a sudden we're haters. Now all of a sudden we have an axe to grind and we're trying to find the worst in Carlos King and all of these things. But the problem is the same theme takes place on all your shows. We see the most authentic on the earlier seasons, and then you play favorites. You do, Carlos. Because if you didn't play favorites, why did even Dr. Heavenly call you out before a few weeks back and say that you were biased against certain people with how much you were bigging up Quad in your interview with her, right? And then why did Mariah call you out in your interview with her, your sit down, when she's telling you to your face, how are you going to gas me up and give me all these compliments and say I was the show and I was responsible for Married to Medicine's success? But then you just said in an interview with Quad that the show is nothing without her. So what am I, chopped liver? And you were gagged. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't respond. Because, again, that's being a hypocrite. That's gassing somebody else that you prefer over somebody else to their face. But then you want to have your cake and eat it too and pretend that you're here for everybody. But that's not the case. Because if you were here for everybody, you wouldn't be taking these drags and doing these punches at certain people. And then playing dumb when they call you out on it. And then you got mad at Simone from Married to Medicine because she called you a blogger, and you claimed that you were not offended, but you were clearly bothered and wanted to attack whatever's going on in Simone's real estate ventures or whatever, and it was completely unrelated and unnecessary. And so it's funny that you're worried about people who go too far, but you're the same person who went too far with Sweet Tea's fertility and saying she needed to put eggs and babies on a vision board instead of being obsessed with Quad. And making fun of a woman's issues with, trying to have a child. And it got so much heat on that, you haven't even addressed that. You haven't even put out an apology, but you did delete it once enough content creators, put that on notice, right? And so now all of a sudden he's claiming that he is going to upload the live podcast event with Melody Cherie Rogers next Tuesday on his platform. However, I thought the whole purpose of this live tour date was for it to be filming content for season 7 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and I thought there were specific things that were included in this event, so that way you could push other storylines, you could push other drama that was separate from Melody Cherie Rogers to push, forward your own storylines that you claim that you are no longer a part of and that you're no longer involved, but you sound very much involved to me, right? So that's the thing. And so then he's saying that, you know, if he stroked, if he struck every channel that talked about him, that he wouldn't have a job and that there wouldn't be any bloggers or content creators. I mean, let's keep it a buck here. People want to pick and choose what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear from certain people. And the problem is when people want to hold you accountable, when people want you to tell the truth, that's when you try to flip it and make it seem like people are going too far, or people have a vendetta against you, or it's personal. I personally do not, you know, like to name call people or cuss anybody out or what have you on my channel. That's my prerogative. I like to just drag you respectfully and drag you with the facts, but some people can't even handle that because they get in their feelings and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, this is personal. You're just jealous. You hate so-and-so. No. I don't know these people. But the same people that you're protecting, Carlos, these same people that you're saying that content creators are going too far against, these are the same people that are also working with content creators behind the scenes to also slander who you love, Melody Cherie Rogers. There are certain cast members, former and current, who are working with certain content creators who are spilling quote-unquote exclusives to them and, you know, trying to get on their panels, on their lives to push certain agendas when the block is hot, and you don't say anything about that. You don't hold your own cast accountable that they shouldn't be picking and choosing, you know, which content creators, you know, they want to support or don't support just because they don't like what's being said, but then they never say or do anything to refute what's being said. Instead, they go for the jugular and just try to insult people, try to dox people, try to do this divide and conquer nonsense and all of these things, and it's not good. And so then Dr. Heavenly brings up as well, you know, that she feels a certain way because she was getting calls and messages and all these things. You know, once we, you know, started hearing more about the Black with the QUE Expo being in Atlanta and that Dr. Heavenly was going to be one of the speakers, you know, she said that she's not in, you know, it's not a conspiracy, that Amazon is paying her directly to, you know, be there and is trying to encourage people to go. And then she plays like she doesn't know why people are saying Expo. Well, here's the thing. If you watch the earlier seasons of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Dr. Heavenly, you know exactly why people are saying Expo, right? And it's Marzone's own wife who's referring to things as Expo. If we want to, like that's what it is. It's not, we're not trolling, we're not being, well, some of us are trolling. But again, that's how she pronounces it. She pronounces it the Expo. Now, you're more than willing to call Letitia and tell her that it's not Expo, it's Expo. And that's hurting the business, that's hurting the promotion, but we know you're not going to do that. So nonetheless, you know, and then also they're saying that people are taking it too far with people's personal lives and that people are deplorable and that people are going to get their karma trying to call people's businesses and trying to affect people's brands and police and all these things. Here's the thing. I think we're conflating some things, right? We're conflating people, you know, who basically want to tear everything down associated with you. And we're, you know, conflating with that what's public information. If there's public information that you're in several lawsuits, if it's public information that you've allegedly been arrested multiple times, if it's public information that you have been through several bankruptcies, if it's public information that, you know, there's DV charges against you and it's made the whole news that you were arrested, that's fair game for people to discuss. I'm sorry. That this whole thing where we're just going to pretend that people aren't being sued and people aren't, you know, being arrested or being fraudulent because you like certain people is bogus, because we know that if this was Melody Cherie Rogers that was being arrested, we know that if this was Melody Cherie Rogers that was being sued by all these people, that you guys would have a field day. Some of you would have an absolute field day and say, that's what Melody Cherie Rogers gets, that's her karma, blah, 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 and all of these things. So the problem is this, Carlos, right? There's a lot that people have let slide for literally 6 seasons that was gaslighted and started in particular by Letitia and Marceau. They came on the platform as well as the Scots 2.0 to basically hide behind Melody Cherie Rogers and Martel's drama. and you know, kept poking the bear, kept throwing out there that Martel's no good, Martel's a cheater, threatening to expose the mistress. Letitia's bragging about having pictures of the mistress. Letitia is sitting in front of Melody Cherie Rogers' face, season 1, saying at a restaurant that, you know, Melody Cherie Rogers, that's why your husband Martel has matching BMWs with his mistress, all because she couldn't have Marceau hold Martel accountable because he was the one that was saying that Marceau had 20 girlfriends. But for some reason, because you guys were so anti-Melody and wanted to make Melody the source of everything, you took everything out on her and saying, oh, Mel's trying to ruin my marriage and she's trying to tear my marriage down. But this all started from Martel because he was trying to take down all of the alleged cheaters as well down with him, because he was the only one that was being exposed and called out because he has a mistress who's sloppy and has nothing to lose and nothing going for herself and all these things. And so then, you know, and this is what I don't like personally, when people act two-faced, because now all of a sudden Carlos King is like, we all love Mel. And, you know, Dr. Heavenly's like, I love Mel, but I also don't have anything against Martel. And it's like, wait, what? It can't be both, you guys. You have nothing against Martel, but he's the one who terrorized his ex-wife and cheated on her and had a baby with his mistress and is actively trying to gaslight and lie on her and paint her as an abuser on Tasha K and other platforms. But that's your girl. That's your girl, right? Because here's the thing. If you're claiming to love me, if you're claiming to like me, you wouldn't appreciate negative things that are happening to me, correct? You would be standing on business and standing up for me, correct? But instead, you chose to remain mute on all of the things that were happening to Melody Cherie Rogers until it went too far and people's boycotts were working. The ratings went down significantly when the Melometer said things but no things, when petitions were active and got both Shownuff and Destiny off the show for their foolery. Now all of a sudden everybody needs to come together and everybody needs to support each other and support black businesses. But why is it okay for Marceau and others to say Melody Cherie Rogers isn't a business owner, it only sells t-shirts, isn't doing anything, but yet is implementing the same strategies and the same advice Melody Cherie told him directly to his face for the Black with a QUE Expo? So which is it? Is it just certain black people that you do not want exposed, or are you genuinely here for everybody to have a seat at the table and for everybody to eat? Or is it only when people are holding Marceau and Letitia accountable that it's a problem? And it didn't even start with us. There was a black couple that called out Marceau and Letitia for stealing their idea, for stealing their whole concept of the Black with a QUE Expo and literally, you know, using them for information and then basically cutting them out of everything, and now want to present this Black with a QUE Expo as theirs, as their intellectual property, as their being the masterminds, when we know that they were the ones who, you know, Marceau in particular and others were upset the most when Melody Cherie Rogers wanted nothing to come, you know, to do with the comeback group, because she saw through the foolery. She saw that they wanted to use her connections, they wanted to use her contacts, they wanted to use her knowledge and her area of expertise to profit off of it, just like Martel has done this whole time, right? Because Melody, you know, made him look good. He doesn't have the builder's license. He doesn't have the relationships, you know, with all these people that he wants to claim. Because if he did, he'd still be working. He wouldn't be trying to access Melody Cherie Rogers' financials if he was doing so well without her. And that is why your own cast, including you, Carlos, was begging for Mel and Martel to get back together because you guys thought that Mel didn't need Martel. You guys thought that Mel was going to be broke and destitute and had to beg Martel, that she was going to put up with anything and everything just to say that she was somebody's wife. And you guys underestimated her. And you guys were, you know, so stuck in your preconceived notions and just thinking that women are only supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And now that Melody Cherie has all of these successful ventures outside of Love and Marriage Huntsville, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Now all of a sudden you have to force feed us all these other storylines of people conveniently now entrepreneurs and business professionals conveniently when, you know, the season starts filming. But there's none of this. There's none of this day to day. There's nobody that is, you know, trying any court cases in real life. People are filming from, you know, empty offices with nothing in there that we're supposed to take seriously, that are real entrepreneurs. But now all of a sudden that Melody Sheree Rogers, the attempts to take her down, the attempts to force her off of her own show, the bullying didn't work. So now we've moved on to phase 2, which is now we're going to prop up another couple to mimic and emulate everything that Mel and Martell was on the show, to try to make them look quote unquote legitimate to the people, to make it look like they're the new power couple. And we're supposed to just play Stevie Wonder, that we don't see any of this. We're supposed to play Ray Charles, that we don't see any of this. Even though they're literally taking other people's business ideas and copying and pasting it as their own. They're literally copying and pasting Stormy's entire shipping process and no free runs and everything else. They are posting that on their Hair Caroline website, passing it off as their own. Literally implementing Mel's strategies and everything else as their own. And now Marceau all of a sudden is saying, oh, well, it was just us, you know, taking her advice and taking her feedback. But no, Letitia kept shutting it down. She didn't want any advice from Melody because she doesn't like her. And didn't, you know, feel that Mel had anything of importance to do or add. But you know deep down she's responsible for all of you, right? You know this is her. And so then, you know, talking about how, you know, things are taking too far. But Dr. Heavenly, let's keep it a buck. The reason you have a YouTube channel in the first place is because you kept getting pissed at Mariah at the reunion for having a YouTube channel and talking about behind the scenes. And you kept saying that it was slander and that it was negative against the cast and it was making the show look bad. Only for you now to have a YouTube channel and drag your castmates. And, you know, pick and choose, you know, when you want to uplift them. And then if people like Quad come back at you and drag you and call you out, now all of a sudden you backtrack and you play like, oh, no, it was a big misunderstanding. You can't do that as a blogger. You have to keep the same energy. If you feel a certain way, if you have legitimate tea, that's one thing. But if you're just spreading tea to be malicious or just coming up with anything to be malicious against somebody because you're either jealous or you feel a certain way about people, that's not genuine. That's not authentic. That is insecurity. And you've basically come for everybody in the cast at one point or another, whether they're still in the show or not, including your new BFF, Dr. Jackie. And the reason that you're close with her still is because she has several connections. She has built a lot of relationships in this industry to where it's profitable, it's beneficial for you and her to be friends. Because there's other opportunities and other ventures that you can bounce off of that. But here's the thing, you know, saying that, you know, that Carlos said that he would have the raindrops, he would, you know, have a come to Jesus meeting with them if anybody was doing to them what certain MELOMETERS are doing as far as trying to like shut down the Black with the QUE Business Expo. Here's the thing, if everything is on the up and up and everything's legitimate, there shouldn't be anything that anybody can say or do to harm that or to jeopardize that. You're giving people way too much power if you want to try to police what people are going to say or do. The whole point is you can't have somebody saying that this is a private event and then you're blasting all these ads that are misspelled, that have incorrect and inaccurate information, and you know, about the date, about the time, about whether or not there'll be food, and people are supposed to just take it and run with it because it's a Black with the QE Business Expo. But there were several errors that were not correctly promoting the Black with the QUE Expo. It was amateur hour. And then there are some people there who are scammers, who scammed the same black people that you want all of us to root for and not tear down, scammed them out of their money to make themselves more profitable. And you have people that are being the face of this who have also taken advantage of other people, allegedly, right? But it's okay, because you want them to win. You want them to be seen as legitimate business people on their show. And the only way to do that is to have people who are really successful for real, like Dr. Heavenly, like Dr. Jackie, to be there, right? And then you're saying as well that you don't care what content creators say, but Maurice has been on the record and saying that he consults you all the time about, you know, how he's in his feelings about what content creators say about him. So much so that he's taking it a step further and suing certain ones. Many Love and Marriage people who review the show weren't even talking about Maurice, have not been talking about Maurice because there's been nothing to talk about. But now all of a sudden, you know, he's in his feelings and he wants to, you know, circle through the archives and see if somebody said or did something that's too far. And meanwhile, wants to dox people who specifically want to remain anonymous, wants to take people to court next month, you know, to prove that the very public records on, you know, somebody that has the same alleged name as him and the same alleged date of birth as him, that it's not him. But here's the problem, Carlos. If people were just authentic and stood on business on your show that's supposed to be quote-unquote a reality show, that Martell called you guys actors, that said that this was scripted, that this was fake, that producers are force-feeding things to people, if that was truly the case, all of this should have been shut down a long time ago when you guys were doing all this stuff to Mel, allegedly. But now, all of a sudden, because you don't like it's being done back to Letitia and Marceau, now you want to, you know, make it seem like certain Melometers, certain fans are taking things too far. Here's the thing, right? I laugh when people have the audacity to say people take anything too far as it pertains to black reality TV shows, because you guys have not watched the white reality TV shows I see. You guys do not watch Big Brother. You guys do not watch Survivor. You guys do not watch Love is Blind. You do not watch The Bachelor or The Challenge or Love Island. Any of these predominantly white reality shows, whether it's a competition show or a dating show or what have you, you don't know how unhinged those fans are. This is light work compared to what happens on those shows, you guys. Literally, people can lose their entire careers and get completely canceled, even off of just one episode. And you're up here talking about jobs, calling people's jobs, getting people fired. Nobody from your show's been fired that we know of. And it's not because of any content creators. They would have to show actual proof that they're losing money, that they're losing financial progress because of what somebody specifically is saying about them. But in the actual case of these white reality shows, oh, those fans will completely have everything, all your tea, all your skeletons within moments. And it only takes an episode for you to piss them off. And they will go on the attack and make sure that you, your family, your job, your kids, everybody that is associated with you is going to get the smoke. Is going to get exposed, is going to have calls hoping that they get fired, is all of these things. Here's the thing. How can people be fired, Carlos King, in your cast if they're all entrepreneurs, if they're all self-owned, you know, black millionaires? How do you get fired from that? If you created everything from the ground up? Or is not everybody truly entrepreneurs and they are in several partnerships with several investors and several people who also own their so-called businesses, that they're getting tired of the foolery? And the other piece as well, Carlos, the final thing I want to say is, here's the thing. If people are bad for business and are a liability, you can't police who can and can't call that out. How can you have Martell be a face of a women empowerment weekend full of workshops and seminars and pastors and ministers, you know, speaking about empowering black women, and you have somebody who has spent his entire time on this show tearing down his successful ex-wife, who is a black woman, and making ABUSE allegations against her, making fake cheating allegations against her, so much so he wanted fake revenge P to be passed off as her quote-unquote cheating on him, knowing daggone well it was him in the video when they were married. How is it okay for people who are being fraudulent, who are being fake, who are literally stealing other people's intellectual property, you now want us to take serious as business people? And here's the thing, this notion that the raindrops wouldn't do this, the raindrops wouldn't do that. Listen, there is crazy and unhinged in every fan base. There's people who take things too far in every fan base, but it's light work when it comes to the black reality shows because people have bigger axes to grind with the white ones, right? So that's one thing. Number two, if you do not see what's playing out currently with Chris Brown, where brands and billion-dollar companies see him as a liability, not just because of what happened with Rihanna in 2009, but the continued abusive and aggressive behavior, the drug use, the unprovoked, attacks on people, not being able to even stay in rehab, getting kicked out of rehab multiple times, getting arrested multiple times, being in violation of probation and restraining orders against that his ex-girlfriends put against him, that we're supposed to ignore all of that because he can sing and dance? No. If you're going to have this same smoke and you want all these other people to be held accountable, you can't pick and choose who you want that to apply to if you like somebody else personally. If somebody is an abuser, if somebody is a cheater, if somebody is not a good representation of black business, if somebody's not a good representation of black female empowerment, if somebody is a misogynist and they're going to be the celebrity speaker and the keynote, of course that's going to get called out because that's fraudulent. That is selling a false narrative to the people. That is selling a false narrative to the people who never seen Love and Marriage Huntsville or might be casual fans of Love and Marriage Huntsville that do not know all the behind the scenes that's taking place. That's why so many people exist that discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville, because you do not want to show the real on the show. But we know that somebody or a few somebodies are going to try to spin this and use the YouTubers again for a storyline that they don't have and try to victimize themselves. And if you just kept it a buck on what it really is, Carlos, that people are being hypocrites, that the same antics that were done against Melody Cherie that people just turned a blind eye to, that ignored for several years, but now all of a sudden you're trying to, paint this other narrative about Letitia and Marceau as if we're supposed to forget everything that they've said and done for 6 seasons on and off camera. We're supposed to forget what Show Enough does on lives and goes on other people's YouTube channels and just says the most nasty and disgusting things about not only her own former cast members, but her own family. We're supposed to ignore that because you like the Scotts. But if you truly loved Melody Cherie Rogers, you would have taken everything that she has said to light, in that she's almost quit this show several times because she was sick of the bullying and abuse. And instead of implementing, some boundaries in place, you let it to continue to fester. And you were hoping that eventually Melody Cherie Rogers would say, screw it, I'm going to quit. That way you could really have the platform to really sell, Maurice and Letitia as this it couple, right? But none of that worked because people kept calling it out. But now you want us to play like we are just completely blowing things out of proportion, that we are just trying to make people look bad, that we're just trying to make, say horrible things. No. That's not it, Carlos. If you have a track record of being nasty and doing nasty things to other people in, hopes that it props up the people that you prefer, that's not loving everybody. That's not treating everyone fairly. A real one would not care what other people have going on and would celebrate everybody. You shouldn't only have to give Melody Cherie flowers when it's to defend Marceau and Letitia. It should be automatic, right? Because you were mute when Melody announced that she was co-owning a black streaming platform, Nubian TV. You were mute with all these positive business ventures that Melody Cherie Rogers has going on. But the second that it's anybody else in the cast, you were in the comments uplifting them. So how can we keep the same energy of quote unquote uplifting everyone when you don't keep the same energy of uplifting everyone? So there's that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.